And we're back today with a new build series. Putting this 04-05 Forester XT all back together. I got a new short block, as you can see right there, right here. So RA block. Old block had some rod knock, typical Subaru. This one obviously new RA. The old one, I don't know, whoever built this thing shouldn't be touching cars because it was all cooked. A lot of mismatched parts, random hoses, stuff not connected, crazy. But we're gonna do essentially an OEM Plus build. The TGVs over here are stripped, so we're putting OEM TGVs back on, getting all new hoses. Currently, I just put the oil pressure sensor and knock sensor on, so now I'm going to work on putting the oil pump and the water pump on, and then kind of cleaning the oil cooler and the oil pan right now. So once I get all this stuff on here, I'm going to flip it over and put the pan on and stuff and go from there. So a little bit of grease on the inside of the seal where the crank is going to ride, just to make sure that it's got some lubrication, it's not spinning on a dry seal. There are seal driver kits out there, which you can use and I prefer to use, but I don't have one and I've always done it this way. Just kind of work the seal in slowly and evenly. Okay, so next up is water pump. I have two cut-off water pump bolts. Actually, no, I think these are battery J-hook bolts, and I just cut the tips off on both sides and make little studs to put the water pump gasket on in the water pump. Just makes things easier. Done a lot of water pumps and time belts on Subarus, so that's why I have those. But I'm gonna clean the surface with some brake clean and a rag, and then put the studs on, gasket, water pump, torque it. One thing I will note is when you are doing water pumps and stuff, if you do get aftermarket ones, pay attention to the nipples. Nipples. Sometimes they come with 2, sometimes they come with 3. Depends on what engine you have, and sometimes they just have the 1. So I've been bit in the ass and had a third one when I only had 2 hoses and then coolant leak everywhere. So pay attention to the nipples down here. Just slide that on. So remember earlier when I said that whoever put this engine together was dumb? Well, I'm at a crossroads now because 6 water pump bolts. I have the 6 from what I pulled off earlier, but the person used this type of bolt, flathead with a washer, and then a shorter version of what the OEM bolt is. This is what the OEM bolt is. Has more threads, shorter shoulder, and no washer. So this one's wrong, and this one's also wrong. And unfortunately, of the 6 bolts I need, I only have 1. And I don't have any bolts in my bolt bin for these. So I have to make a list and get 5 more of these. For now, just kind of start this. Just because I don't like the way these are going to be. I just don't trust it. I'd rather use factory style bolts that match. So I'm gonna have to get all 6. It's a bummer. But I can go ahead and flip it over and start on the oil pan and oil cooler stuff. Okay, so we got baffle plate all clean. Got pickup tube all clean. This is a good time to upgrade your oiling system if you're doing a turbo Subaru to get the Killer B baffle and pickup. There's other brands too. I think like IAG makes one, a couple other people. But I have the Killer B one, and I've done a couple Killer Bs in other cars, including my own. And the baffle and the pickup tube are great, but this one's keeping OEM. So clean the screen, clean the tubing, cleaned everything off on the baffle and the pickup tube. Put the new O-ring on, and now we're going to clean the surface right here where the pickup tube bolts to, and then put all the bolts in. Okay, so I cleaned all the oil cooler plates. I still have yet to clean the oil cooler, but I'm waiting on all the hoses for all that stuff. Water pump, oil cooler, all that stuff that goes all through here. So I just cleaned the plates, found the O-rings, put those on, pushed them together. I also put on this coolant bung that goes there with some anaerobic sealer, solid. Put on the oil pickup and the baffling. Everything's all torqued and solid. So I think next step is I'm going to finish cleaning the oil pan, put that on, and then I can bolt on the fresh cylinder heads. These ones are cooked. Scored the camshafts and the journals, so we got some fresh rebuilds. So I'm gonna go ahead, put the oil pan on, and then torque both cylinder heads on. Okay, so clean the mating surface of the block, put the gasket on, clean the mating surface of the head, clean the head bolts. Now I dip them in some oil, put them in, run them down, and then torque them. You don't want to put too much oil, just enough to coat the threads, because you can hydrolock the cylinder and fuck shit up. And we don't want that. Just enough so the threads are nice and coated. Nothing more. Start all the bolts by hand before you run them in, make sure they're started. Like so. And then you're gonna go I just want them tight to where they barely touch. So then you're gonna grab your torque wrench and torque everything. So first pass is 29 Newton meters, and then 69. And then you back them off by 180 on each one. And then another 180 again. So all the bolts are loose. And after that, then you go back to the torque sequence. So tighten all bolts to 49. Oops. Now we move on to the angles portion. So doing 80 degrees. It says 80 to 90. I always go on the lower side just to make sure you don't over torque it. And then 40 to 45, another pass. So I set it at 40, pass one. So you're gonna do all these again. And then it says to hit the middle two one more time. And that's torque cylinder head. Now I can go ahead and put the cams on, and then glue the cam carrier, and then check all my valve clearances. And I'll be pretty much done with that side for putting the head on. Valve cover after that, all that stuff. But yeah, next step, cam carriers, measure valve clearance. Great success. Okay, so camshaft's in. I started the back two cam caps, cleaned the surface. I glued the cam cap. So I'm gonna put the cam cap on and then go ahead and torque the bolts. Okay, got the cam cap all glued on, got the bolts all torqued, and checked all the valve clearances. All valve clearances are good for the exhaust side and the intake side, so we're all good there. So the next step I'm gonna have to do is fit all the exhaust studs, fit all the turbo oiling, coolant stuff there. There's a hard line that goes here, AVCS oil line this way, AVCS solenoid, valve cover. So